Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I want to do is share some insights pertaining to some of the concerns that I've been hearing from some of my existing business owner clients and investor clients. The economy itself right now is in a kind of a state of flux. There is a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people think we will be going through a recession in the near term. And so what I wanted to do is to share some insights today pertaining to some of the things that you can do from the real estate side and other factors to be able to navigate the tumultuous waters that we will be facing in the near term. Now, before we dive into this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you can like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So now you've done that, go ahead and like and subscribe below. Let's go ahead and dive into this episode. All right, so in today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the strategies that you can employ to help your business navigate the tumultuous waters that we will likely face in the near future. So to start off, number one, I've seen what typically happens in economic recessions or period of economic turmoil. People start to reevaluate their space needs. What ends up happening a lot of times is more subleases start coming on the market. What is a sublease? Well, what it is that let's say that you're occupying 5,000 square feet of space, and given the current economic landscape, you decide, okay, maybe I don't need the 5,000 square feet of space anymore. Maybe let's say I only need 3,000 square feet to fulfill whatever business that I'm working on. Well, you could elect to potentially lease out the other 2,000 square feet to another party, that owns another type of business. And so this is something that happens a lot more often in economic downturns, because people start reevaluating the space needs. As far as being able to execute on the strategy, you have to make sure that you read your lease and see if you're allowed to do so. A lot of times there are sublease provisions within leases that allow for you to be able to search out a tenant to be able to occupy a portion of the space. However, there's usually a vetting process, and the landlord will have to make sure that that tenant can actually sustain themselves in that location. A lot of times they'll want equal or greater financial standing for that entity. Along with that, it doesn't absolve you of responsibility from having to make your payments. So essentially what would happen is the tenant would make payments to you for the space, and then you would remit the full payment for the entire space to the landlord. Essentially, you'd become the middleman in the transaction. But again, it just helps alleviate some of that financial obligation if you're able to find a solid tenant to be able to occupy that space, and now you can utilize the rest of the space for whatever your particular use is. So that's number one, is consider the your space needs and evaluate to see if you want to sublease. Number two is to consider moving spaces. A lot of times when leases are coming up, that's typically when people start evaluating their space needs. I often recommend my clients look at that, months in advance, six months at least in advance, because that the process of actually finding, vetting, and securing a commercial space is a lot longer than people typically think. And I can't tell you how many times I get calls from people that are like, "Hey, I need a commercial space and we need to be moved in 3 weeks." It's like, well, if by some miracle we find a space that is perfect for you, you still have to work out the details of the lease. There may be some back and forth involved, and getting that done in that time frame is very difficult. And so, allotting enough time to be able to do that is something that's very important. So if your lease term is starting to come up near the end of the year or the beginning of next year, this is the time to start thinking about what you want to do as far as moving spaces and maybe, consolidating into a space that's a little bit more fitted to what the current environment looks like. So this is a perfect time to be able to reach out to commercial real estate agent or other property managers to be able to get a feel for what's out there, and then ultimately be able to execute when the time is right. So that's number two, is to consider moving spaces if in fact you're unable to sublease or other alternatives just aren't able to be done. Number three thing that I often see people do, especially in economic turmoil, times of economic turmoil, is to look at the refinancing or securing some form of line of credit. In any business, cash flow is king. So in a period of economic, compression, there may be situations where, your influx or your revenue is lower than what you typically had in the past, and then your expenses remain somewhat constant. So in a situation where you have a shortfall on a month-to-month basis, that could be killer for your business. But if you have access to additional capital to be able to put a stop on the losses that you're experiencing, that gives you the opportunity to then reevaluate and say, okay, we need to cut here, or do whatever we need to do to be able to strategically move ourselves out of this particular situation. So again, having cash ready and on hand to be able to navigate those tumultuous times is of value. So this is an opportunity for you guys to approach your lenders, I highly encourage a lot of people to reach out to community lenders, community banks, etc., because a lot of times they're able to provide you with more effective and more competitive terms when it comes to these types of instruments. In particular, if you already have an account with them and you've established a relationship with them, it's a great opportunity to be able to secure a line of credit that you can utilize if need be during those times of economic turmoil. So that's number 3, is to consider refinancing and or securing a line of credit. And then finally, number 4, it's doubling down. And when things get tough, you can either choose to fold or you can choose to double down and put in more effort than ever before. A lot of times economic turmoil weeds out a lot of people. So if you're willing to put forth the work, double down and put your nose to the grindstone, when the dust settles, you'll be one of the few people or few entities that actually make it out. And so if you're able to do that, the ability to capture market share going forward 5, 10, 15 years from now, that's what you do it for. And so, it may suck in the short to immediate term as it does in every, downturn, but, if you're willing to commit to it and become, a hardworking individual that works and doubles down, I think that you'll be able to navigate these waters and come out stronger than ever before. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Then that is exactly the type of motto that you should have when it comes to these types of things. So hopefully you gained some value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it if you can like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message. If you guys are looking to either sublease your space, move spaces, reevaluate your space needs here in the Louisville metro and surrounding areas, I'd love to be able to help you do that. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I'd love to be able to kind of give you an idea of what's out there and be able to help you navigate the tumultuous times that are coming. So if you'd like to do that, feel free to reach out to me. My number is 502-536-7315, or you can reach out to me via email at Raphael@grisantigroup.com. Thanks again so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.